sea, and at 8:40, I see land! Ahoy! Woo!
4 months at sea and the end is finally in sight.
It's all like that, like the trace on one of those machines, all the volcanoes. I can see land! Woo!
This was the moment Sarah Outen knew she would realise her dream to row solo across the vast Indian Ocean.
I'm having my dinner in Mauritius tonight and I am excited!
It seemed an impossible attempt. Australia to Mauritius, 3,500 miles as the crow flies. Sarah actually ended up rowing more than 4,100. We followed her incredible journey from the very start.
Okay, it's day one. I've just had my lunch. In fact, I've been eating all day.
Through heart-stopping moments,
We've just capsized.
to the finish where it very nearly ended in tragedy.
I honestly thought I was going to die.
Throughout it all, Sarah never doubted she'd do it.
There were times when I just didn't quite know how I was going to get there because I'd spent another, few days going backwards, for example. But, you keep ticking off those miles on the chart and get a bit closer and realise that you're doing it and you're nailing it, and somehow you do.
It's been hoofing it down. I'm soaked. It's windy. The waves are big and wild, but it's so exciting. I'm loving it, and we're going in the right direction.
Nothing, it seemed, could dampen Sarah's spirits. Then disaster struck for the first time.
First capsize was a very scary moment.
We went right over and I was underneath the water and just kind of going, please come back around, please come back around. And she did really quickly. Although it seemed like forever because, you're trying to hold your breath and you're worried about getting hit and stuff and you're just trying to hold on.
I was attached to the boat and hanging over the edge, but the only way that I could get back in was to actually undo that line, which had just saved my life. So that was a big moment.
I'm not hurt, I've just hurt my toes a bit.
I could have drowned, I could have been knocked out, a whole load of things could have happened. And it was a real sort of wake-up call, really, at that point, that could happen.
Growing up in Outen, Sarah was a keen sportswoman. Her mum remembers a girl who was never daunted by much.
She's just got such amazing stamina and resolve, and she's a tough little cookie, and she's very strong-minded and very determined. If she wants to do something, she'll go hell for leather.
Sarah's passion for rowing was ignited when she went to university. It was here that the idea of an ocean voyage formed.
I've always been one for adventure, and I love the ocean and I love rowing, and the two seemed like a great combination. And then my dad died very suddenly, and so I decided I'd go solo, raising lots of money for charity in his memory.
Her dad had suffered for many years from rheumatoid arthritis. His courage continues to be her inspiration.
When I was out on the ocean and things were rubbish, and I sort of thought, well, he suffered all that pain and had to go through all these horrid ordeals with operations and drugs and sickness and things, and he managed it, and he did it and kept going. So for everything I've ever done that's challenging, I've always been able to use that as a really easy trump card, really.
And she needed to draw on that strength plenty of times while at sea.
I hope that the wind shifts because I'm getting flipped off with going the wrong way.
Going the wrong way and round in circles lasted for 40 gruelling days, held hostage by the weather.
The ocean is a beautiful, wonderful, intriguing place in that the weather is fickle and diverse, really.
I'm rowing in my mask because I couldn't see. It's absolutely drenching out there.
You could have a day when it's flatter than the water behind us, where it's literally mill pond calm and nothing's moving.
Look at him go!
this is his weather. He's not even flapped his wings yet. And then the next day it could be a raging storm with sort of waves so tall that you could put a 4-storey house in the middle of one of the troughs and not see it from the other side. These waves are going to get quite big, apparently.
Keeping her safe from the elements, her beloved boat, Serendipity.
She's tiny. She's not huge, is she? She's got a big heart, though. In sort of real terms, she's 20 feet or just under 6 metres long. This cabin at the end here is for storing things in. This bit in the middle, the sun deck, is where I row.
This is where you did the hard work.
This is where the hard work, the blood, sweat and tears happened here.
Can we go and have a look inside?
We certainly can, yep.
This is not a very big space to live in for 4 months, is it?
It's not huge, but it's big enough.
Did you ever get claustrophobic?
40 hours into a storm, when you've been in here pretty much the whole time, it can get a bit close.
And everywhere is sort of covered with various moments through the journey and messages of support.
That's it, highlights, lowlights, good days, bad days.
After surviving for 4 months at sea, it was ironically in the last few hours of Sarah's incredible adventure when disaster struck, and the whole trip very nearly ended in tragedy.
Absolutely mental out here, day 124, 75 miles from land. Not quite what I'd hoped for my final run in. I'm certainly being tested today.
The enormous seas tossed Sarah onto the razor-sharp coral reef. She had to cling on for her life as the boat capsized over and over again.
I managed to hold on just as the first wave hit, and it just threw me. It just like I was a cork, really. Upside down, being surfed along. Boat eventually came back round and I was sort of outside and got back in. Held on just as the next wave hit, and the same thing happened again. So I'm being dragged under the water just thinking, this isn't how it's supposed to happen. Come all that way and here I was about to cop it.
I was terrified. Absolutely terrified. Just because I couldn't see her, I didn't know what was happening.
This trip had given me so many moments that became the most scary moments of my life. Yet that final sequence topped them all. That went straight in at number 1.
Did you honestly think, this is it, I've had it?
I was still a bit surprised to this day as to how I made it out the other side.
Oh, proud. Very proud of her. Her dad would have been proud of her. And I'm just wondering what she's going to do next.
Do you think you're going to settle down at all and just, your adventure is done now, or is there more to come from you?
I had this little idea at sea that I'd come back and go and be a teacher for a couple of years and work out what I should do with my life. But I've decided I'm not ready for that just yet. There's adventure running through my veins.
The last day at sea, and at 8:40, I